Story 1. My aunt has recently developed what my family suspects is psychosis. One of her main beliefs right now is that everything is caused by parasites and that people must detox every day. It depresses me how many health influencers promote her deeply unhealthy habits, which further her descent into unintentional self-harm, put her child at risk, and convince her husband her choices are safe. Meanwhile, her husband was recently bedridden by a severe gum infection that they all completely ignored. Story 2. Forcing everyone to be morning people is wrong. I am a morning person and I enjoy getting up early and accomplishing a lot. I do not like non-morning people being forced to be awake and productive at that time. It is unfair to them and it frustrates those of us who are naturally morning people. It is unreasonable to assume people are irresponsible if they are not alert and functional early in the morning. Story 3. I attended a presentation on health misinformation by Timothy Caulfield. He said 80% of the health content on TikTok is incorrect, and a large portion can be dangerous to follow, including but not limited to the health advice promoted by Gwyneth Paltrow. Story 4. Your liver and kidneys detox the body. The powder you are adding to a smoothie is essentially just a laxative. Story 5. I once had a Reiki massage. I did not know what I had signed up for. I was pregnant, and a friend had told me it would be gentle. The practitioner hovered her hands over my body for 45 minutes and then charged me $100. When I asked about the massage part, she said it was clear that I did not want to be touched. Berkeley, I love you, but this was a bridge too far. Story 6. Just because something is all natural or organic does not mean it is good for you. Snake venom and death cap mushrooms are all natural, but I am not going to ingest them. Story 7. The 7 product skincare routines used before red light therapy, needling, or gua sha are excessive. Skin can only absorb so much product. Companies have marketed so effectively on social media that even 11-year-olds are using retinoids. This is landfill core. Story 8. Eating gluten-free, unless you are gluten-sensitive or intolerant, is no healthier than arbitrarily removing foods from your diet that start with a certain letter. Story 9. The idea of 10,000 steps can discourage people from sticking with their walking goals. Recent research shows that even 7,000 to 8,000 steps a day produces significant health benefits, and the additional benefit of 10,000 steps compared with 8,000 is small. Even 5,000 steps a day can be beneficial for cardiovascular health. The 10,000 steps target likely came from Fitbit marketing. Story 10. Whatever superfruit is currently popular, such as acai, mangosteen, and others, just eat your local produce for goodness sake. Edited to clarify, I mean choosing fruit for health reasons, not eating fruit simply for enjoyment. Story 11. I didn't see monosodium glutamate mentioned in the comments. Although many advise avoiding it, it is found in most foods and is a flavor enhancer. Feel free to downvote. Story 12. Body hacking. I have a colleague who spends an ungodly amount of money each year on quack doctors to try to improve his metabolic age. And now a whole cult of coworkers are following the same regimen. Good Lord, it's nonsense. Story 13. That is an extreme position, but many health bloggers promote the idea that if you cannot pronounce something, you should not eat it. They are obviously referring to chemicals, but the idea is nonsense. Water is a chemical. As for the if you cannot pronounce it nonsense, my wife cannot or will not pronounce celery correctly, so should she not eat it? Story 14. I see many recipes on Pinterest labeled sugar-free that contain half a cup of maple syrup. I dislike when people insist they feel better or healthier because of agave, rice, maple, or other syrups. Those do not avoid the downsides of sugar. Dates in small amounts do not trigger blood sugar spikes and contain antioxidants, but this applies to about 3 to 4 per day, not a whole box. Natural sugars only slightly reduce blood sugar spikes compared with refined sugar, but the difference is minimal, to be honest. I believe people who choose natural sugars tend to make more health-conscious choices overall, which makes them feel better, not the sugar substitute itself. Story 15. Waking up early. It is true that night owls, in general, tend to suffer from health problems, but the cause is not the timing of sleep itself. It is societal expectations. If you go to bed at 2 a.m. but need to start working at 9 a.m., of course that will be unhealthy. If you have the privilege of not having to wake at a set time, There is nothing inherently unhealthy about having an evening chronotype. If you are an evening chronotype, you will get higher quality sleep by going to bed and waking up late rather than forcing yourself to be a morning person. Society is heavily biased toward morning chronotypes, and night owls are often labeled lazy. Chronotype variation is partly genetic. Our ancestors benefited from having some people awake at night to watch for predators. A rule of thumb: if you need an alarm to wake up, you are not getting enough sleep. Note: study limitations and context. It is very hard to study long-term human health rigorously. Randomized controlled trials are not possible for questions like this, so evidence is limited. Many studies show night owls have worse health outcomes on average, including higher rates of depression and increased cardiovascular risk. Night owls are also more likely to be sleep-deprived. Society is designed for early birds. I am fortunate to have no children or major responsibilities and to work in a different time zone, so I can wake at noon without an alarm. Most people do not have that privilege and suffer as a consequence. I am not saying you should go to sleep at 2 a.m. if you must wake at 7 a.m. That would be unwise. My point is that if you have the freedom to wake whenever you want and you are a night owl, you do not have to force yourself to be an early riser. Sunlight, circadian rhythm, and screen time. Some benefits of waking early relate to syncing the circadian rhythm with the sun. Current evidence does not require that everyone wake at a specific time to gain sunlight benefits. The sun will be up when you wake, and if the optimal waking time were 6 a.m., I would still argue that matching sleep timing to your chronotype is usually better because poor sleep quality likely outweighs modest benefits from early light exposure. Limiting screen time before bed is one of the healthiest things you can do for sleep. Chronotypes are real. If you try everything to become a morning person and remain tired, and you have the flexibility to wake later, go to bed late and wake late. That will probably not harm you. The alarm point: if you cannot wake without an alarm, that is a sign your body needs more sleep. If your body wants 12 hours, it may be catching up from chronic sleep deprivation. Ancestors did not use alarms. If your body does not wake naturally, sleep is not finished. Overall guidance. This is a complex subject with many unknowns. My rule of thumb is simple. If you feel great, you are probably doing something right. If you feel terrible, consider making changes. Update on early sunlight. There may be additional benefits to getting sunlight as early as possible, but most findings are mechanistic and not validated in controlled trials or large epidemiological studies. If getting early sunlight requires sleeping less or forcing a mismatched chronotype, the benefits of that early sunlight are likely negated by poorer sleep quality or quantity. If you are a night owl, go to bed late and wake up late. Get enough sleep. If you still feel poorly, investigate further. If you feel fine and your productivity and health markers are fine, keep doing what works for you. Response to being called lazy. Some people stay up late by choice and engage in activities like gaming or browsing social media. For others, a late schedule is not a choice but a different energy pattern. Night owls are not working less. They are shifted. They may start 3 hours later and finish 3 hours later. Would you call someone lazy for working a different shift? For example, some people regularly work until 1 to 2 a.m. and thrive in those hours. Morning people would likely be exhausted working that schedule. We are just different. Story 16. Positive thinking can even beat cancer. When it cannot, it becomes your fault. You did not think positively enough. Story 17. The idea of guilt-free recipes. Using Greek yogurt in tuna salad and a bell pepper for the bread will not magically extend your life by decades. Relax. A regular tuna sandwich is already a healthy choice. Eat ice cream every once in a while. Avoid protein ice cream that tastes like cardboard. Treats are allowed. You can eat for enjoyment. Sugar is fine in moderation. Eat fruit. Put 1 sugar in your coffee instead of 5 packets of stevia. Food is not just for survival. It is also something to enjoy. Story 18. Every single thing needs to include cottage cheese. Some people would bathe in it if they could. Story 19. Kale. Yeah, it's fine, but it's not a miracle. Stop pretending. Story 20. Low-fat diets are not inherently healthier. Fat is not harmful. It is beneficial in appropriate quantities when combined with regular physical activity. Story 21. Many people think hormone-free milk is actually free of hormones. Milk naturally contains hormones. No mammalian milk is hormone-free. Human receptors generally do not bind bovine hormones in a way that causes the same effects in humans. Nevertheless, some people continue to insist that animal-derived milk products can be hormone-free. Story 22. Very restrictive diets do not work in the long run. It is better to make small changes you can stick with. I am seeing videos insisting that you cut out all sugar and all carbohydrates and so on. The best part is when these fitness gurus finally admit they lied. For example, Liver King. Story 23. Eating organic, at least in the United States, is largely a scam based on consumer demand and misinformation that increases profits for commercial farms. They can charge more for the same product with the same nutritional value. Organic does not mean safer or healthier or chemical-free, as many assume. Organic farming uses pesticides as well, but only certain approved pesticides. Edited to add, I did not expect this to blow up this much, but to the people claiming there is less pesticide use or less pesticide residue, note that the amount of pesticides used is actually less regulated for organic farming. The Environmental Protection Agency is required to have strict testing and regulations for synthetic pesticides. Allowable amounts are regulated, and testing is required to show there are no harmful effects to human health when used properly, but regulations for natural pesticides are not nearly as strict. So organic pesticides are not necessarily safer, and they do not help farm workers or the environment. As for pesticide residue, you should always wash your produce regardless. Rather than eating organic, as others mentioned, try to eat local or what is referred to as farm-to-table. Focus on sourcing your produce locally and seasonally. This ensures better freshness and taste, less environmental impact, and a direct relationship with the farmer so you can ask which pesticides were used or how the product was made. This achieves the same benefits people seek from eating organic, and it does so more effectively. Story 24. I usually eat breakfast. Some people feel better and less sluggish if they delay eating until around lunchtime or later. I find breakfast kickstarts my appetite and makes me eat more than I want throughout the day. I do not notice a difference in energy when I skip it. Story 25. Assigning moral worth to literally everything. Examples. Oh, I'll be good today and skip dessert. I did a spin class this morning, so I can be bad at dinner tonight. I've been so bad this week. I haven't counted any calories. We are on a floating rock hurling through the vacuum of space at 140 miles per second. Eat what tastes good. Move in a way you find enjoyable, and stop pretending that everything is so black and white. Story 26. I have a friend who thinks coconut oil is a cure-all for everything. He is also opposed to vaccines and modern medicine. Story 27. I will start by saying that drinking a gallon of water a day is highly hyped and not necessary for everyone. Story 28. Eating breakfast. People act like I'm insane for not being able to eat before noon. I've never needed to. Eating that early upsets my stomach. But people push it like I will literally die without some sugary garbage food at 7 a.m. Story 29. Therapy is great and can be a lifesaver. I am glad it is available, but it can feel insulting when someone pushes it on another person. Please do not throw tomatoes. Story 30. The idea that you need 3 meals a day is not universal. Meal frequency should be based on activity level. If you eat 3 meals plus snacks and you are overweight, you may be eating too often. This is a very complex topic, and this short blurb barely scratches the surface. Story 31. You have to exercise to lose weight. Yes, exercise is healthy and it is best to stay in shape, but if you have physical issues and still need to lose weight, you can. I weighed 275 pounds and I have chronic pain. I started with slow, short walks on the treadmill until my back pain became too much. I consistently exercised for about a month. Then I had to figure out how to lose weight without exercise. I focused mainly on how much I was eating. I used moderation, ate smaller portions, and followed a high-protein, low-carbohydrate, low-sugar diet. I changed my eating habits and made them routine, eating at the same times every day to stay consistent. I lost 115 pounds by changing my eating habits and I overcame binge eating. Story 32. Raw milk. Humans figured out how to boil things for a reason. If we will not drink water that has not been filtered, purified, or distilled, we should not drink raw milk that could be contaminated. Even if you raise the cow yourself and know it is healthy, there is still risk. Unless the world falls apart and a zombie apocalypse prevents me from buying milk at the store, count me out of drinking raw milk. Story 33. Skincare routines. Not every woman on earth needs to follow a daily face wash with 4 different products, be slimy all the time, and spend 3 hours in the bathroom just to look the same without makeup every time. Personally, as I age, I may buy a special moisturizer or eventually a night cream and some wrinkle aid, but I am not putting an entire bottle of $60 glorified face lotion on my cheeks. Beauty regimen. Story 34. I am 40 and have tried every diet on the planet. It has all been disordered eating to some extent. I am sick of it and will not do it again. Story 35. Supplements. I'm not talking about daily vitamins. I'm referring to low-quality products that multi-level marketing sellers push. Story 36. Toxic positivity, manifestation, the law of attraction, meditation, and other forms of spiritual bypassing can be harmful, especially when pushed on someone who is chronically ill or terminally ill. Story 37. Avoiding carbohydrates is not generally advisable. Healthy carbohydrates are vital for energy, focus, and mood, and can provide other valuable nutrients. Fiber is a carbohydrate and is the nutrient most consistently associated with reduced mortality risk across diverse populations. Story 38. Intermittent fasting does not work for everyone and impairs my judgment. Story 39. Juice cleanses. I've never been able to get anyone to explain in a sane manner why removing the fiber from fruit makes it healthier. Story 40. Shilajit, lion's mane, or whatever the current flavor of the month is. It's hard to keep up. Story 41. Marathon running is often touted as an ideal goal we should all strive for. Running is healthy, but at a certain point you can cause damage to your body. We have somehow equated physical discomfort with better health outcomes, but there are definite downsides to pushing yourself too hard. Story 42. Organic is a scam. Instead, we should promote locally sourced, seasonal produce. Story 43. Honestly, detoxes, juice cleanses, and the whole flushing toxins industry are one of the biggest scams disguised as wellness. Your liver and kidneys are the detox system. They are biochemical powerhouses that filter your blood around the clock, break down harmful compounds, and eliminate them through urine and bile. No green juice, no $70 detox tea, no 3-day starvation cleanse does that better. In fact, most of those products either just increase bowel movements, acting as laxatives disguised as weight loss, or deprive you of protein and essential nutrients, leaving you weak and cranky. If your liver and kidneys did not work, you would be in an intensive care unit, not at a yoga retreat. If they do work, you do not need detox gimmicks. For long-term health, you need balanced meals with fiber and protein, regular movement, adequate sleep, stress management, and not smoking. The detox craze survives because it feels like doing something extreme and virtuous, but in reality it is expensive pseudoscience that preys on insecurity and sells suffering as enlightenment. Next time someone preaches about a miracle cleanse, admit the only thing being cleansed is your wallet. Story 44. Eating natural. You know what else is natural, Beth? Ammonia. Story 45. People who present anything as what doctors will not tell you. Story 46. Do not eat more protein than your body can process. Story 47. How can I convince a close friend that her body is not full of parasites and that she does not need to detox? Common sense has failed so far. Story 48. Unlicensed people are promoting supplements instead of prescription medications for mental health. While medications can be overprescribed, I trust my licensed doctor over someone who got their training through internet searches. One colleague was having an extreme mental health crisis. Another advised her to stop taking her antidepressants and start taking supplements instead. Unfortunately, she followed that advice and became dangerously suicidal within weeks. She is okay now, but it angers me that people read things on the internet, present them as fact, and ignore guidance from trained professionals. Story 49. I have friends who do the detox thing, and one even claimed that cancer can be cured by drinking a peroxide solution because it would destroy all the parasites that cause cancer. I can barely hold my tongue when I get this advice, but it is futile to comment. Story 50. Diet of the month mentality. Gluten-free this, keto that, and so on. In reality, very few people need specialty diets. Story 51. Cold plunges are not total nonsense if you are an athlete who trains multiple times a day and needs to recover extremely quickly. Otherwise, I think it is more about expressing discipline. Story 52. Probably an unpopular opinion, but I do not recommend running. It is not total nonsense. It is great for cardio, but of all my friends who run regularly, most have suffered at least a semi-serious injury, and one can no longer run because of a shattered ankle that never healed properly. Swimming is far better, in my opinion, if that is an option. Story 53. Drinking 10 million gallons of water every day. What are we doing here? Drink when you're thirsty. Your coffee, tea, and smoothie all contain water. Everyone is carrying a Stanley bottle as if they are about to get lost in the desert. Story 54. Overhydrating your body. It was never medically recommended to drink 6 glasses of water a day. The recommendation referred to 6 measuring cups. Because the words cup and glass were used interchangeably, and a standard drinking glass is 16 ounces, people thought they needed nearly 3 liters per day. In reality, the original recommendation was closer to 1.5 liters per day. As long as the liquids you consume are not high in sugar or artificial ingredients, they count toward your daily fluid intake. In conclusion, you do not need to drink nearly 3 liters of water per day. You need to drink approximately 1.6 liters of fluid. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.